purpose of this webinar is to provide some additional background to the recently launched call from the GCRF Global Challenges Research Fund Programme. The call is entitled Combined Food Systems Approach to Scaling Up Interventions to Address the Double Burden of Malnutrition. And the call is being led by the BBSRC with support and expertise from the MRC and the ESRC. So most of the information on this slide is available in the call documentation, which you can access online. However, I would just like to emphasize a few key points and provide some background information to the call that might be helpful to you. We have a total budget of £8.5 million. However, the amount spent will depend upon the quality of the applications received. Each applicant can apply for up to £1 million for their project, which can last up to 3 years. The project must start in February 2020 with a closing date for applications on May the 7th, 2019. We are assessing full proposals only. There is no concept note stage. Our review panel will meet in September and be comprised of experts across all 3 of our contributing research councils to ensure that we have a really good breadth of expertise on the panel. We will expect a decision to be made in October of 2019 with the projects to start in February. So I just wanted to provide a little bit more background to this call. It's launched under GCRI under the GCRF programme in what we are calling the Collective Fund. The purpose of these funds are to bring coherence to the existing portfolios within the GCRF programme. To date, over 800 individual projects have been funded through GCRF and dispersed through all of our delivery partners, including the research councils and the academies. These 800 projects have been grouped underneath 6 portfolio headings. The titles of the portfolios, I'll just give them in brief, but the details can be found on the GCRF website. But the portfolios are entitled Resilience, Cities, Education, Health, Conflict and Food Systems. And this particular call is held within the food systems portfolio. This portfolio addresses all aspects of the food system, which includes food production, which encompasses both crop production and livestock and marine production, food processing, food distribution, food consumption, which also includes aspects of nutrition and health. Portfolio food systems also includes projects relating to waste and also food spoilage. And central to all of this is food policy. And we are specifically looking within this call for projects that encompass one or more of these aspects of food systems and importantly include elements of policy as well. We chose the double burden of nutrition for a number of different reasons. When we analysed the portfolio as a whole some months ago, we noticed that many of our investments to date have focused on the food production side of this continuum. And we do know from the research that malnutrition continues to be a global problem. There has been some progress in terms of projects and research leading to an improvement in malnutrition globally. However, there's still a lot of work to be done. And according to the WHO, world hunger is on the rise once again. We are looking for projects that employ a systems approach to addressing the challenges challenges of the double burden of malnutrition. This means that projects that are successful will not pay exclusive attention to one element, but combine studies of several elements to achieve the overall aim. So the vision for this call is to attract new research to address the double burden of malnutrition. Research that brings together partners from across subject disciplines, for example, agricultural sciences, nutrition and health sciences, social sciences, health economics, to name a few, that takes the results of previous ODA investments to another level. This is what we mean by scaling up. It means another word we could use for this could be upgrading. So either by joining up existing approaches such that the whole is greater than the sum of the individual components. So for example, by seeking to combine both nutrition specific and nutrition sensitive approaches, and elements of education, for example, could also be included in that. So for example, a project might include research aimed at using fortification to enhance micronutrient intake, but coupled with an education program to raise awareness of that particular approach. That's just as an example. Another key factor is engagement with policymakers, as I mentioned earlier. From the start of the project, policymakers need to be involved in the design of the project, in identifying the key questions that will be answered by the research. And this is to ensure that the research has the greatest chance of being taken up by policymakers, to make sure that the research is answering the questions that the policymakers really want answers to. And this might be very different to the questions that the academic researchers want answers to. But by engaging policymakers right from the start of the project, we hope that a good outcome can be achieved such that the information gained is of use and is more likely to be taken. One of the central pillars of GCRF is equitable partnerships, which means joint ownership and responsibility for the project across all of the partners. And also co-design is an important feature as well that we'll be looking for, which means co-design with relevant stakeholders, which would include community members, community leaders, perhaps food industry, definitely decision makers and policy makers. Outside the scope of this call are projects that are really just more of the same. We want to see some new elements or new combinations in the research that we fund. So we're not particularly interested in projects that focus on the consequences of overnutrition alone in the absence of micronutrient deficiencies. We are interested in projects that address the problems of hidden hunger. It's not necessary for projects to implement double duty actions that simultaneously address both under and overnutrition, but we do want projects that comprise several instruments, some targeting overnutrition and some undernutrition, both of which would include elements of hidden hunger. Extra points to note: we are looking for projects, as I mentioned before, that are interdisciplinary, but don't need to cover all of the Research Council remits. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the call is being led by BBSRC, but other research councils, MRC and ESRC, will be consulted for reviewers and panel assessors to ensure that we have the broad breadth of expertise available for assessing the call. If you have any questions regarding the scope of the call or how to submit your proposal, we do have an email address available and someone will get back to you within a short period of time.